Hello, Cancer. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Cancer is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment, consider hitting the subscribe button, especially if this reading resonates with you. These readings are totally free. If there is anything you would like me to pray over or meditate upon or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Cancer, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. Prince of Cups, you are living authentically. You are trying to radiate out your positive vibrations, and I think that you are, you're sensitive to the vibrations coming in, but you're not letting those really affect your internal reality. Okay? Sometimes the Prince of Cups is very sensitive to the energies of other people in a sort of an empathic way, right? Where we're in touch. We're able to pick up on the vibes around us. You can probably walk into a room and immediately understand the vibe. You know? It doesn't mean you're going to get scared and run away, right? It means you're saying, okay, I understand what's going on here. I can feel this thing out. And I know what energies I need to give off, what frequency I need to vibrate at, right? In order to match this, in order to not match it, in order to influence it in a positive way. Yeah. So I feel like you're somebody who tries to stay positive, even in a very challenging situation. I feel that you understand the importance of how you say something. Okay, so two people could be witnessing the same problem, and one person is framing it in a certain way, and they're sort of resonating in a certain frequency, and it's going to influence the entire situation. Yeah, so I feel like you're stepping into that. It seems like it's a Cancer kind of power there, you know, to really feel the vibe and understand how we can influence that vibe. Yeah. Let's see what's going on here with a few more cards. We're going to use our Dove and Serpent spread. We got the Fool energy. Oh, yeah. I like that. The Fool is telling me that you're not so influenced by other people right now. That you're living your truth. You're living your authentic way. The Fool is free. Right? Free from worry, from doubt. Right? Free from the criticism of others. Right? Got an Ace of Wands, an Ace of Cups, a Ten of Swords, and another Ace. Holy smokes, you got 3 aces. 3 of a kind. That's a pretty good hand, right? I think this is awesome. You've got a clear head, you've got a pure heart, and you've got a fire underneath you. And you're kind of living life here, and you're getting out of this birdcage. You're not letting anything hold you back. You're not letting anything restrain you. Yeah. You're certainly not letting the opinions of others drive your boat right now. Okay? You are living this authentic life, and I think that this Fool doesn't even care what anybody thinks. Yeah. It's really, really cool. Let's do the Path of the Serpent. We've got the Death card, the 3 of Pentacles. We've got the Art or Temperance card. And we have a 2 of Wands. So this is, you are asserting yourself into the world. You're realizing, and I think part of the Fool's magic here is the realization that, hey, we can't control anything here, right? The Fool kind of has this nonchalance about it because it realizes that we don't have as much control as we think we do. So the 2 of Wands is perhaps us realizing what I'm responsible for and what I'm not responsible for, right? What I can do, what I can control, what I have influence over, what is within my power to do or change, and what is not. Right? This is the wisdom of the will. And it's kind of like saying, if I believe in myself, I don't care what anybody else says. I don't need approval. right? I don't need validation or confirmation from other people. I know what is right for me. I know the path that I'm on. And we have that confidence, the type of confidence that isn't out there forcing it, right? But is rather letting it go. Not seeing a need. The fool doesn't have a need to fight against everything, right? Doesn't have a need to prove itself. The fool has nothing to prove because the fool is nothing. The fool is just a big zero. I'm just a pure spirit. I don't need to prove my existence to anybody. And so I think this is a really, really wonderful energy for you, especially as you are coming into your more artistic side and you're learning to follow your truth a little bit more, right? We have to have this almost indifferent, nonchalant attitude that just says, hey, I'm doing me. I'm living my life, and nobody needs to know about it. Nobody needs to hear about it. I don't have to convince anybody. I don't have to explain it. I don't have to prove it or justify it to anybody. Yeah. So you're evolving big time. Let's select a mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith Waite Tarot. This is the factor, infinite and unknown. We're going to set it right over here with Tiny Bob Ross right on top. We're not going to look at that card until the very end, but it will tie everything together. It will give us the confirmation that we need at the end of the reading. Okay. If at any point during this message you feel like you might know what that card could be, put your prediction in the comments down below. I feel like right now you're not going to. I feel like you don't care. I feel like whatever it is going to be fine. You know, that seems to be the energy right now where you're sort of open to whatever experiences life has to offer you because you have this purity of will, this purity of heart, this purity of your mind. Everything is aces for you right now. And I've never quite seen this before, but I think this is really a major accomplishment. I feel like it's a big win for you, you know, because it's a major step on the evolution for you. Okay, so we've got two majors as we look around the room. Three. We've got the Fool, we've got the Death card, and the Temperance card. So you're somebody who is working on their inner development. You're working on being perhaps more comfortable in your own energy. You're working on your own power, your own will. You're trying to maintain. You know, I feel like it's kind of a fresh start here. You know, we have a new love, a new belief, a new trajectory. We've got a whole new version of you. Okay, so I feel like right now you're sort of being reborn on a higher plane as this Fool energy. Even the Fool is kind of a transcendence. All of the aces represent an inspiration. Your heart, your mind, and your spirit itself are inspired, right? And that Fool is kind of saying like, my life starts now. You know, my journey starts now. The Prince of Cups is about that spiritual truth, and this is coming through the inner experience, okay? So we're not so concerned with what other people are doing, what other people say, what other people feel about us. We're trying to get in touch with who we are inside. What is our inner truth, right? What is our essence? What are we creating? What is our art? What are we making out of our lives, you know? And the Fool is kind of like saying, I'm done with all that baggage. I'm traveling light energetically, you know, starting fresh, maybe, in a way. Could be that you've recently got out of a situation that was stifling, that was sort of restrictive or diminishing your kind of creative essence, you know. We felt might have been containing our soul. I wonder if there was a tower moment in your recent past, okay. So we've got our three majors. We've got this transformation, and you're always looking to keep growing and keep evolving, and you realize that you do that by facing challenges in life, right? The pressure cooker, the Temperance card, the blacksmith's anvil. But I think that because this is that card of like being tested in life, right? The challenges of life. This is the blacksmith's anvil, where we're just kind of we're getting hammered by life, right? I feel like this card is in the position of what you don't want right now, because the Fool is realizing that if the Fool is kind of If the Fool is in touch with pure spirit, the Fool can't be influenced by the hammer, right? Hammer goes right through it, metaphorically speaking. That we can be untouched by the ups and downs and twists and turns of life. That the pressure cooker doesn't affect us if we're not made out of that same substance, right? So I feel like we're getting in touch with that more spiritualized part of ourselves that is able to sort of exist beyond the troubles of life in a way. Right? So I feel like there's a little bit more of an indifference. We're still facing our challenges. We're still overcoming our issues. We're still growing and evolving. We're still out here doing the physical work and living the physical life. And we're still getting hammered by life, and we're still having to make difficult choices. But there's a part of you that is that's purified of all of that. Okay, so it feels like a real spiritual attainment has taken place in your life. Now, beyond the majors, we've got, of course, fire and fire. We've got our water and water. We've got our air and air. And we've got a little bit of earth over here, right? So you're still engaged with life. You know, you're still out here. You're still out here putting in work. But I feel like you're acting in alignment with nature and not against it. Okay, the Fool is kind of the Fool is the one that can walk in the garden and not break the blades of grass. You know what I mean? The Ace of Wands underneath here, I think, is an inspiration. I think you're inspired to make changes. You're inspired to go forth on your adventure and walk through the gardens of life. Maybe you don't know where you're going. Maybe you don't care. Maybe we're inspired to move and to do and to create, but we don't have a plan yet. It's okay, we don't need one. You know, sometimes it's enough to just jump in and start living and start life and figure out how it all unfolds later. There is no perfection. There is no perfect preparation. We start life whenever we are feeling called to live that life. You know, I think in that future position, we have that Ace of Swords, the Fool plus the Ace of Swords. You've got a knight. You've got a questing knight, right? And so I feel like this is a new beginning for you somewhere. And it's a beginning on all levels of being. And it will have its challenges. It will require that you sort of continue to grow and evolve and sort of let go of the past in order to recycle the energy. Okay? But you don't have a need for the actual plan. You don't have a need for the path. You don't need to know what's going to occur. There's no predictions with the Fool here. The Fool is all about the novelty, just living in the moment and knowing that, or trusting that in the future, I will have the information I need when I need it. Okay. It's understanding our capability of performing effectively on the physical plane. So there's a confidence in you that we haven't seen in a long time as well. Okay. And like I said, the Ace of Wands is this inspiration toward a quest. You're fired up for some new adventure. We don't know what it's going to be. We don't know where it's going to go. And we kind of don't even want to know because that's going to take the fun out of it, right? Up here is the Ten of Swords. The Ten of Swords to me is the most pointless card. If you look at all those swords, none of them have points, right? The tips are all broken off. It's kind of like saying, I don't want to have a plan. I don't want to know the future because that sucks all the life out of it. This is a dry and desiccated card. This is a birdcage. If we knew what the plan was, then it's kind of like we feel like we're enclosed. We feel like we're sort of locked up in that prison, and I feel like that's the opposite of what you want right now. We're looking for freedom. We're looking to get out of the bird cages. I don't want to know the future. I don't want to predict where I'm going. We want to have goals, obviously. We want to have a happy, healthy life. We want to, we want to advance in certain areas, and we want to continue to evolve and continue to grow. But we don't want to feel hemmed in. We don't want to feel like we've been pigeonholed in any particular place. So I feel that you're spending more time outdoors. You're trying to get away from routines, getting away from structures, getting away from labels and things. I feel like you're going really Taoist right now. And we're just trying to do that wu wei, like that effortless action, that spontaneous action, not the predictable order and structure of things that is kind of dry, desiccated. Yeah. In your recent past, you've got this Ace of Cups. I feel like this was something that happened recently that sort of woke your heart up a little bit. And I don't know if this was maybe a particular emotional inspiration, if it was it could be a new life kind of inspired you. Maybe I don't know, sometimes this is a card of like a new child, right? Or an addition to the family. But it could be that we've felt our heart open up a little bit lately. And maybe there's something that sort of initiated that, like we saw something on TV, or a friend of ours had a baby, or maybe you did, or, whatever it could be, but something sort of opened up our heart a little bit. And this sort of, this seems like it set you on this new course. I feel like maybe we're finding a renewed love for life. Yeah, just as we are finding a renewed inspiration, and we're finding a new clarity of thought where we don't need answers because we're not asking questions. We're just accepting life on its own terms. We're trying to live in harmony with the natural world, and we're moving forward as we feel inspired, and we trust that Spirit will show us the way when we get there. That if we're doing something right, we'll know. If we're doing something wrong, we'll know. And the Fool can be assisted, right? The Fool kind of like feels the wind in its sails, okay? And I wonder if you are feeling more creative lately as well. I feel like there's a beginning of a lot of things here. I feel like this is a major inspiration coming, okay? And I feel like we're trying to get out of that Ten of Swords, because this is kind of like, feeling hemmed in by habits. And it's kind of like a machine, like living, like an automaton, right? And, the habit, this kind of life can't really grasp the awareness of the Fool. So the Fool doesn't want any of those things. I feel like we're kind of breaking away from that, at least for the time being, okay? This might also be that we're freeing ourselves from all of those things in life that the Fool kind of says are absolutely pointless. These are all the things in life that the Fool doesn't need to carry around in its little knapsack. The Fool's traveling light, remember. Doesn't need a lot of stuff, a lot of unnecessary things, opinions, beliefs, interests, and hobbies, habits, and, all these things. Like, a lot of those can be dispensed with. The three aces, I feel like you are getting a major green light from the universe right now. Now, the death card on the path of the serpent, by the way, if you haven't subscribed, please do. The death card is the realization that, we cannot just live as the Fool constantly. We can't just be in search of novelty, sort of wandering around through the forest and just waiting for adventures to open up for us. That to get to a particular destination, we have to put in work over a long period of time. This is the card of slow, gradual change. This is a card of evolution, of transformation, right? I think we're using this Fool energy to begin the process of transformation so we can transform our life into what we really want it to become. We're not just going to be the Fool forever, right? That would be maybe a little irresponsible, right? But for now, that's what we want. We want that Fool energy. We want that fresh start. We want to realize that, okay, I can start from zero and I can create myself any way I want. I can reinvent myself. I can reinvent my life. Okay? We realize that transformation is a process that takes place over time. We have to let go of certain energies. Eventually, this Fool energy is not going to serve you much anymore, and we're going to have to move into the magician energy or something similar, right? But for now, we're enjoying the Fool, okay? Life's becoming more fun. We're playing more spontaneously. We're just being more creative, more whimsical. We don't care what other people are doing, what other people say. The Three of Pentacles in the environment is saying that we understand how things work. And we understand that if things don't work, then there's a reason why they don't work. We're not going to try to force things that aren't meant to be. Okay? The 3 is the card of work, and the Fool doesn't always like work, you know. The Fool, once the Fool has a sense of direction, see, the Fool, as it is pure Fool energy, has no direction. It's a feather in the wind. You give the Fool an Ace of Swords, and it becomes a Knight, and basically then it has a sense of direction, right? So it kind of knows what work to engage with. Maybe this is the creative work, this is the career stuff, this is like we're getting busy putting things together and constructing the universe. Okay, we're really understanding the earth plane. We're understanding the material world in a way that we never really did before. And I think when you truly have that high level spiritual understanding of the physical world, it puts all of your challenges, all of your problems into a perspective. And so while we don't want the pressure cooker or the blacksmith's anvil, we understand how life is necessarily going to be a battle of contending forces. We're going to have to wrestle with things. We're going to have to meet with challenges and figure out how to overcome them. Because that literally is what shapes reality. When you're sitting there with a block of clay, you don't just stare at it and suddenly it becomes a nice vase or something, right? You have to work it. You have to smush it around and bend it and twist it and squeeze it. You have to exert force on it. And that's what this card is. This is the hammer coming down and banging the metal into a stronger steel. This is you gripping life and molding it around and shaping it. Well, it's also shaping you at the same time, you know? So we're becoming very aware of how we affect the world and how the world affects us. We're learning what to let go of, what to hold on to, right? We're going to meet with some not so kind people in the world. We can either internalize that and the Fool can cling to it, or the Fool, as the Fool does, can just let it go. In one ear, out the other, right? Fool is the ultimate airhead. Nothing sticks. It doesn't get it, right? The cruelty, the negative energy coming in, Fool is just like, doesn't bother me, just passes right through, okay? And I feel like right now that's what we need. Yeah. The 2 of Wands, like we said at the end here, is that idea of, it's kind of, to me it feels like what's coming next for you. Because right now we have this totally nonchalant Fool energy, but this is Mars and Aries. This is very assertive. This is very wu-wei. But this is like, I need to exert force on the universe. I need to get things done. I need to do things in a very positive and active way. Okay? The Fool is blown about by the wind. The 2 of Wands is saying, I'm pushing ahead, you know, no matter what the breeze is doing. No matter what forces are against me, I've got to forge my future. I've got to push on. Okay? So I think that this is the beginning. And then eventually we're going to come to the necessity. It's kind of like we have the aces, then we got the 2. It's sequential. The Fool, we start out with the Fool, then we become the Magician. The Magician is sort of an active process of creation. Okay? So I like that. Mystery card over here. What do we have? 8 of Cups. The Fool is going in their own direction. The Fool, in a way, is the Hermit. Okay? In other words, the Fool is learning how to walk away from anything. Like literally anything at all, even the good stuff of life. Not having the attachment to it. See, this is both a 5 of Cups and a 3 of Cups, right? It's the 8 of Cups. There's a 5 and a 3. And this is the Hermit, literally. Walking away from the 5 of Cups, the turbulent emotions, the bad vibes, and all the stuff that's not meant for me. But walking away from the 3 of Cups too, why? Walking away from joy and pleasure and jubilation, celebration, friends. Why would we walk away from that? Well, I think what we're doing in this card is we're leaving behind the attachment to those things. It's kind of like saying, well, when I have celebration and jubilation and things are going good, then I feel good. When things are going bad, then I feel bad. The Fool has no attachments because it doesn't exist. It's a big fat 0, right? So the Fool is practicing non-attachment to both the positive things and the negative things of life. Of course, we want to enjoy more of life and have less sorrow, right? But we don't want to be attached or dominated by either of those. So sometimes we have to practice a non-attachment even to the very, very pleasant emotions, okay, as a way to gain control over ourselves. Again, the Fool is step 1 of a new path. Step 0, right? It's the origin, it's the source of the new path. And then we move into the Magician energy, which is saying, okay, now that I've cleared myself of the attachments to my emotions and to certain things in the physical world that are going to maybe give me the pleasant emotions. In other words, I want to feel joy, so that I'm going to cling and I'm going to crave those things that will give me joy, right? And that's not freedom. So the Fool first practices freedom, and then we step into the Magician energy and we say, what do I want to create? Well, I want to create a life of joy and love and pleasure and friends and family and all this stuff, celebration, right? So we start creating that, but the first phase is the releasing. First stage is the banishing, right? The 0, the Fool, banishing everything, eliminating all attachments. And then the next phase is the invocation, the Magician energy, 0 to the 1. Okay, so first we clear the space, we banish all energies, good and bad. We release all attachments so that we can invoke with intention. We can pull into our magical circle that which we really truly want and need to create according to our will. Okay, so that's why we've got an 8 of Cups here. I think this is a beautiful reading for you, Cancer. I'm so happy. I love what I see here. We're going to do an extended reading as well. We'll do an I Ching hexagram. We'll do some oracle cards. There's a link up top and there's a link down below. New readings for Cancer, Tuesdays and Fridays. Be sure to watch both readings. If you haven't subscribed, please do. The readings are free. It really does help out the channel. Leave a comment. Let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you. And we're all in this together.